Hare Krishna, welcome all of you for the 80th session. Today we are starting the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. पावन हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की, श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। नमः ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So in the previous 12th chapter, we discussed about bhakti, the qualities of a bhakti yogi, pure devotee. In the last part, that was a very, very interesting part. Now, after that is over, now we are going to the 13th chapter today. So, this last section, beginning with 13th chapter up to 18th chapter, is Jnana Yoga. Now you all may have a question in mind. After Lord Krishna explained about Karma Yoga, then he explained about Bhakti Yoga. Now why is he explaining about Jnana Yoga? What is the need? Because Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate. He could have stopped there with 12th chapter. Why is he talking the 13th chapter? That reasoning we will understand today, why he did that. Actually, Lord Krishna says in the 12.7, Teshamaham samuddharta mrityu samsara sagarat bhavami nachirat partamaya aveshita chetasam. Is telling, for my devotee whose hearts are attached to me, I will personally deliver them from this material samsara, sagara, the ocean of material life. Now, for devotees to go beyond the ocean of samsara, they have to practice bhakti very seriously and effectively. Only then they can get liberated from this world and go back to God. Just like, for example, if you put firewood in the furnace, it cannot be wet. If you sprinkle water in the firewood, it is going to give out smoke. So So if you want it to be powerful and giving out fire, then you need dryness in the firewood. Similarly, devotees also in the neophyte stage have two tendencies. One is to be a devotee of Krishna, and the other tendency is to enjoy sense gratification. Both propensities are there. Just like children, you tell them to study, they'll study a little bit, but they want to play also. They have a tendency to play. And if you don't control them, they'll play all day. So therefore, in these 6 chapters, Krishna is going to teach the devotees about the jnana, with the nature of this material samsara, the nature of cycle of birth and death, the difference between jiva and the prakriti, the material body. So the knowledge which he will be giving will be very, very helpful. Like for example, the 16th chapter is teaching about Daivi Sampat, Asuri Sampat. So, and he will say that we should capture the Daivi Sampat and we should give up Asuri Sampat. Of course, devotees are not having Asuri Sampat. At the same time, there is a possibility they may get deviated. So he will give a warning. Similarly, 14th chapter, 17th chapter, and 18th chapter, we hear about the gunas, 3 gunas, Sattva-guna, Rajoguna, Tamoguna. By knowing this, devotees can keep themselves beyond the gunas. So he is giving us the knowledge to be cautious, to be careful, to be alert, to be attentive in practice of Bhakti Yoga, to make the Bhakti Yoga practice effective. That's the goal of this 13th to 18th chapter. There is one beautiful chapter in between, the 15th chapter called Purushottam Yoga, where it's a very sweet description of how one can see the hand of Krishna everywhere and in everything in this universe, whether it is sun or moon or anything. It's a very, very sweet chapter. Only 20 slokas, a short chapter it is, but it's a nectarian chapter. We will read that also. So it's a very beautiful section, 13th to 18th chapter, last section. So I gave you the example of a bread. There are 2 breads and there is jam in between. Similarly, first 6, last 6, and the middle 6 is like the jam, which is tastiest Bhakti Yoga. And the first is Karma Yoga and last 6 chapters are Jnana Yoga. But this Jnana is going to help the devotees to become more close to Krishna and more effective in practicing Bhakti. Okay? See here, this is the title, Nature, Enjoyer and Consciousness. Arjuna is asking 6 questions in the first shloka, we will see that. And Krishna will start describing from the second shloka onwards. So this I told you just now, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga and Jnana Yoga. And the perfection of Jnana is again Bhakti Yoga. You will see that how, like when Krishna is going on speaking this Jnana Yoga 6 chapters, at the end he will say, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Braja. He will say, Arjuna, abandon all other varieties of religious practices and surrender only to me. That is Bhakti Yoga. Now how to surrender to Krishna? He tells the components of surrender. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhya jimam namaskuru. Think of me, bow down to me, worship me, become my devotee. Very clearly Krishna gives prescription. All this is about Bhakti Yoga only. That means the jnana eventually leads one to bhakti. When the jnana becomes ripe. Like there's a raw mango, there's a ripe mango. We all like the ripe mango, isn't it? So jnani also becomes ripe. I can give you many examples. 4 Kumaras, they went in the Brahma Jyoti roaming and they arrived at the door of Vaikuntha. They met Jai Vijay there. Subsequently they met Lord Vishnu. The Tulasi in the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu, they carried the fragrance and entered their nostrils. And immediately they became pure devotees of Vishnu at that point of time. So they became personalists. Earlier they were impersonalists, they became personalists. Take another example of Shukadeva. As soon as he was born at the age of 16, from his mother's womb when he came out, he walked straight towards the forest. On the way there were ladies taking bath in a pond. They were practically having no dress in the body because that area was only meant for the women to take bath. But Shukadeva had no inclination to even turn to them and look at their bodies. He was completely a Brahman realized jnani. He didn't see difference between male and female. And that was his elevated position. But then later on he heard the Bhagavatam verses, became inspired and took training from his father Vyasadeva. And then he became a pure devotee of Krishna, who spoke Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj and thousands of sages later on. He became a lover of Krishna. So here is another Brahman realizing jnani becoming a pure devotee. Again, another example. And a third example we can give of Bilvamangal Thakur, who was also an impersonalist before. He's from South India, from a Brahmana family. He became a debauchee. He was chasing after a prostitute called Chintamani. Later on, by one of her chastisements, he turned to go to Vrindavan, and in Vrindavan he met Krishna and he became a pure devotee. Although he was blind, he could meet Krishna face to face in Vrindavan. And he became such a pure devotee of Krishna. He wrote Krishna Karnamrita, which is even adored by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is another example of somebody becoming a pure devotee of Krishna after being a jnani before. And if you see like this, there are many examples. Atma Ramascha Munayo Nirgranta Apyarukrame Kurvantya Kaitukim Bhaktim Yitham Bhuta Guno Harihi. Lord Hari's qualities are so amazing that even jnanis who are generally known for nirvishesh, they are never attracted to any variety, they are never attracted to any qualities, and they want to nirgranta, they want to be always unbound, they want to attain peace. Even those jnanis become madly attracted to Krishna's qualities, because the qualities of Krishna are not material, they are spiritual. Krishna is Gunatit, he is Mayatit, he is Mayadish, we are Maya Vash. So, therefore, they are in the Brahman realized stage. From there they go above to appreciate the Vishuddha Sattva qualities of Krishna. Jnana is like that. Therefore, Bahunam Janma Namante Jnanavan Maam Prapadyate Vasudeva Sarvamiti. Like that Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says. At last they come to the understanding Lord Krishna is everything. Vedasya Sarvai Ahameva Vedyo. So, therefore the perfection of Jnana is Bhakti Yoga only. But this Jnana is given as an aid for the devotees to effectively practice their Bhakti. Yeah, same points are given here. Here are the 6 questions that Arjuna will ask in the first verse. My dear Krishna, what is Prakriti? And Purusha, Kshetra, Kshetrajna, and Jnanam, and Jnaya. 6 questions he will ask. Now, what is Prakriti, material nature? There are 24 elements in material nature. We have discussed it before. For example, the Panchamahabhut, earth, water, fire, air, ether. And 3 subtle elements, mind, intelligence, and ego. Then 5 Jnanendriyas, eyes, nose, ears, tongue, skin. And 5 Karmendriyas, hands, legs, genitals, rectum, and speech. And 5 Tanmatras, Shabda, Sparsha, Rasa, Rupa, Gandha. They are 5 Tanmatras, sense objects. In this way, if you calculate, in Sankhya they calculate it, all these things put together are called Prakriti. In Prakriti, the material nature, the elements in this world, 24 elements. Now, that is also called Prakriti. And in our body also there is Panchamahabhut and 3 Sukshma items. Man, Buddhi, Ahankar is also there. So this is also Jada Prakriti, that is also Jada Prakriti. But Prakriti, this Prakriti is called an Apara Prakriti. Apara Prakriti means non-transcendental, mundane, Jada Prakriti. Like this is Jada Prakriti. So that's called this material nature. And there is another person in this world who is also Prakriti called Para Prakriti. That is Jivatma. Like we are called Para Prakriti. Why Para? Transcendental or Chetan Vastu. Just like an aeroplane. It will remain in the same place for millions of years. It cannot move unless one Chetan Prakriti enters the plane, and then the plane will take off. Only by spiritual touch, matter can move. Otherwise, matter cannot move on its own. You will see that like the fan is rotating. How? Because the spirit has put on the switch. Then only it can move. So that is Chetan Prakriti, which is called Para Prakriti. So Apara Prakriti. But Para Prakriti is also Prakriti only. Why? Prakriti means female, subordinate. Just like wife is subordinate, husband is the leader of the house, wife acts as a assistant to him. So we are also Prakriti. Just like Durga Mata Devi, she is acting as an assistant to Krishna. On the order of Krishna, she is creating everything in this world. So we are also servants of the Lord. So we are also Prakriti. Then why we may be called as the name Purusha? We are called imitation Purusha. Imitator. Why we are imitator? Just like sometimes father and son, if you see, father is big, son is small. Father can do big things, he can run big factories, but son can only play with toys. Similarly, God is running the whole Brahmanda. Whole Brahmanda is Jada Prakriti, and Lord is actually the master of that Prakriti. And this body has small amount of Prakriti, and we are seated in this bodily machine, thinking I am the master. This body is also not ours. In this body there are 2 Chetan residents. There are 2 Kshetrajnas. Knower of this body. Who are the 2 people? Atma, Paramatma. So Paramatma is the owner. Atma is the tenant. Just like if a owner is leaving a house on tenant for 11 months. So the owner owns the house. After 11 months he can remove the tenant also. Correct, no? Similarly, Paramatma has allowed us to use this body. So we are secondary owner and he is the primary owner, Paramatma. So we are not even master of this Prakriti also. What to speak of the whole Brahmanda? Huh? So Brahmanda is a big machine, operator of the cosmic machine. He is the actual Purusha, capital P Purusha. And we are tiny Purusha. He is thinking, he is controlling the universe. I will control this body, we are thinking. But we cannot control this body also well, because we are not complete owner of this body. We are only a tenant here. So, therefore, this is how the Prakriti and Purusha are explained in this chapter nicely. It will be more explained later. Then there is Kshetra and Kshetrajna. Kshetra means the field, and Kshetrajna is knower of the field. Why the word field is used? A king has 1,000 acres. He allots one acre to one farmer. And each farmer is a knower of his own 1 acre land. And the king is the owner of all the lands. Similarly, Paramatma is the owner of all the bodies. And we are allowed to be a tenant in one body. For example, if you are hungry, I will not know. If I have a headache, you will not know. Because I know my field, you know your field. And why this word field is used? Because in the field, you can plow the field, and you can, if you sow a neem seed, you will get a neem tree, and thousands of neem fruits you will get. And you have to eat those neem fruits, you will not like it. Or you can sow a mango seed, and you can grow thousands of mangoes, and you can eat mangoes and enjoy. So in this way, Sukha Dukkha is experienced by us. Or you don't have to do anything in this field. You act in such a way that king adopts you as his own son. You become a king's son, then you don't have to plow the field at all. You can leave the field and go to the king's palace and live with the king. Similarly, you can do 3 things in this world. Punya you do, you can enjoy the fruits. Pap, sinful activities you do, you suffer the fruits. And then in case you work on Krishna's account, you leave this world totally and go to spiritual world. You get liberated. Therefore, this material world is compared to a big tree in which you can get sweet fruits or bitter fruits, or you can get liberation from this world. Go back home, back to Godhead, like that. All the 3 are possible. Therefore, each of us is given a field. Like right now, I have this bodily field. With this body, I can do good things or bad things. There are people who are drinking and smoking and doing illicit connections with opposite sex, and they are ruining their life. They are spoiling they have a ghastly future. They're aborting child, and they're killing the cows and everything. So this is a sinful life. So we are using the field for cultivating thorny bushes or neem fruits like that. Or some people are pious people. They go to the temple, they bow down to God, they circumambulate God, they recite shlokas, they try to treat other living beings warmly, they are respectful to God. So in this way you will find some people are doing yajna, dana, tapa and all that. They are doing punya. That means they are using the body properly. But there are more fortunate people than this who are engaged in bhakti yoga with full understanding that this material world is temporary, everything will be finished, Lord is supreme. So they do bhakti yoga and go back to God. So therefore the field and the knower of the field. And the knower of the field is 2. One is an individual knower and a collective knower. That is Paramatma also, about which we will study. And Jnanam and Jneyam. Jnanam is explained in 8 to 12 verses in this chapter. The process of knowing God. The process of knowing all these things. Beginning with amanitvam, madambitvam, ahimsa, kshantirarjavam, acharyopasanam, shaucham, stairyam, atma vinigraha, indriyarteshu, vairagyam, anahankaram, evacha, janma mrityu, jara, vyaya, dukkha, doshana, darshanam, asakti, rana, vishwanga, putradara, grahadishu, nityam cha, samachittatvam, vishtanishtopapatishu, maichananya, yogena, bhaktara, vyavicharini, vivikta, desha, sevitvam, artir, jana, samsadi, adhyatma, jnana, nityatvam, tattva, jnanartha, darshanam, yetad, jnanam, iti, proktam, ajnanam, yadatonyatha. Totally 18 items. They are given in verses 8 to 12. There we will study about what is jnanam. Precisely Krishna gives. This is 18 items are jnanam. Everything else is ajnanam, he says. So there we will study it. And then jneyam is Supreme Lord, about which we will study. These are 6 items Arjuna is asking, and the whole chapter is about these 6 items only. Krishna will explain. Okay. Now let's proceed with the verses now. Arjuna uvacha prakritim purusham chaiva kshetram kshetrajnam evacha etad veditum ichhami jnanam jneyam cha keshava Shri Bhagavan uvacha idam shariram kaunteya kshetramityabhidiyate etad yo vettitam prahuhu kshetrajna iti tadvidaha. See the first shloka, prakritim purusham kshetram kshetrajna jnanam jneyam. 6 things he has asked a question. And Bhagavan Uvacha. Then Krishna is speaking here. Answer. Idam shariram kaunteya. This body which you see, Arjuna, you have kaunteya. Kshetram iti abhidiyate. It is called as the field, he said. Now I already told you why it's called field. Because you plow the field and you cultivate some seed in that. Similarly, in this body also, you cultivate good karma, bad karma, or spiritual karma. And then etad yo veti. Veti means knower. One who knows about this body, he is called as kshetrajna. For example, in this body, if there is fever, we know it's fever. If I'm healthy, I know I'm healthy. If I'm hungry, I feel I should take food now. If I'm thirsty, I have to drink water. So I am knower of this body, which I am different from the body. And I am seated in this bodily car. And I am different from this body, just like this cloth is different from me. And this kurta is different from me. Similarly, the body is also different from the Atma. I know about it like that. So, yeah, this chapter is called Nature, Enjoyer, and Consciousness. Prakriti and Kshetra, they both are, here he is saying that we both are Prakriti. That means, no, there is Jada Prakriti, Chetan Prakriti. One Prakriti is called Apara Prakriti, another is called Para Prakriti. Why both are called Prakriti? Because both are subordinate to Ishwar. Therefore, they are called Prakriti. Just like your wife is called Prakriti also. A woman in the kitchen, the husband turns to the kitchen and gives like some signal. Some 4 or 5 guests have come. Immediately, wife will cook something and bring. On his order, she cooks and brings. Like that, Prakriti also on the command of Krishna, she works. And all the jivas are also subordinate. Krishna is Purna Swatantra, but we are Paratantra. We are not Swatantra. And the second one is Purusha and Kshetrajna. These two are actually called the Chetan Vastu. So we are actually not the enjoyer. God is the enjoyer. But we imagine I am an enjoyer. Therefore, we are also called tiny Purusha, imitation Purusha. So, for example, imagine sometimes a small, kid, a small boy, he may go and sit in a doctor's seat, take the stethoscope. You have seen that? He does that child. Small boy, he goes with his mother for treatment. But when doctor is going to handle some machine or something, he goes and sits in doctor's seat and puts the stethoscope. Does he become a doctor? Just an imitation doctor. So we are like that Purusha one, imitation Purusha. Isn't it? And Kshetrajna, okay. And the third one is Jnana and Nyaya. That is consciousness, proper consciousness. Look at the picture here. One fellow is trying to control the whole globe. And this fellow is thinking, I'm sitting on gold biscuits and counting dollar notes. He's very proud. So Jiva actually wants to lord over the material world, boss over the material world like this. But he is not the ultimate controller. He's a tiny controller. Minute control he has. Lord Krishna, who is there in the picture you see, he is a supreme controller. And the Jiva is a tiny child. Yeah, the field of activity, Kshetra is the body, and knower of the field, Kshetrajna is the soul, and second Kshetrajna is the super soul, I told you. And what is this field of activity is explained below, if you see. Kshetra consists of gross elements, you all know Panchamahabhut, subtle elements, Man, Buddhi, Hankar. Then the sense and sense objects are also included. The Jnanendriyas, Karmendriyas, and the Tanmatras like Shabda, Sparsha, Rasa, Rupa, Gandha I have shown in the picture also. All these things put together is called the field of activities, Kshetra, put together. Why? Because in this body only you can act using these things. Can you act without using the senses and sense objects and gross elements, subtle elements? These are all required for doing any activity. They are called Kshetra. And transformation of this field causes Sukha Dukkha and Raga Dvesha. For example, in chill winter, what do you like? Hot water you like. If hot water is smoky hot, you keep on wanting to pour in the body more and more, isn't it? And people are telling you, hey, come out of the bathroom, you have to take bath. You say, I'm coming. You like more and more water. Because you have liking. And in the chill cold winter, imagine you're opening the tap, chill water is coming like from the fridge water is coming. How do you feel? You just rinse your mouth and come out. You don't want to take bath. So we hate the cold water. And we love the hot water in chill winter, you will see. Similarly, you love mangoes. One more mango, 2 more mangoes, or more and more mango juice. But if they give you Karela juice, oh, that I don't want. Doctor says Karela juice is good for you. Bitter gourd juice. It's medicinal. Please take it. No, we don't want. Like we have experience in our temple. You make a bucket of, this bitter gourd sabji and keep it. As it is, it will remain. Nobody will touch it. You make very nice fried some other sabji, it will get over. Isn't it? We have likes and dislikes. So pleasure and pain, attachment and aversion. This transformation happens because of the interaction of senses and sense objects with gross and subtle elements. So he is saying that That's how the jiva in this world gets more and more entangled in this world, about which it will be more nicely explained later. So these things I have already explained to you before. Yeah, this is the same one. Like I told you, 3 things here. The liberation from jnana. Actually, liberation arising from jnana mixed with bhakti, practice follows nishkam karma yoga. See, the karma yoga, if you practice nishkam karma yoga, the result is jnana. The jnana is what? I am not the body, I am spirit soul. You understand that point. And then with that knowledge of jivatma, which is attained through nishkam karma yoga, and it is very useful for attaining the knowledge of Paramatma. Now, why knowledge of Paramatma is required? In the end of 6th chapter, Krishna is talking about the yogi who realizes the Paramatma, isn't it? So, this is first 6 chapters talks about Nishkama Karma Yoga mainly. The middle 6 chapters talk about the relationship between soul and super soul, and how God is supreme. In 7th chapter he says, I am the cause of all causes. I am the essence of everything. 10th chapter he says, I am the very best of everything. 11th chapter, Vishwarupa Darshanam is showing all the opulences in the world are in one body only. So in this way, Krishna has proved God is the greatest personality and everybody else has to surrender to him. That's made very, very clear. Living entities are subordinate to him. And in this way, one understands God's greatness, then they approach God. Artho, Jignasu, Artharthi, Jnani, they all go to Lord. But the best of the people who go to God are the Kevala Bhaktas, or Shuddha Bhaktas, pure devotees. Yeah. Like here you see in the picture, Krishna is a small tender baby in the control of Mother Yashoda. So because Yashoda is a pure devotee, Kevala Bhakti she is doing. And there is no other motive in her heart except exchanging love with the Lord. So Lord becomes a small child in the lap of Mother Yashoda. But one step short of this is the 4 types of mixed devotees. Artho, Jignasu, Artharthi, Jnani. So they go, but these people actually, when they worship the Paramatma, they can get their desires fulfilled. They can get relief from distress, or they can get wealth. Just like how Dhruva Maharaj saw the Paramatma coming in front of him and he got Dhruva Loka, or Gajendra got Moksha. Like that they can get. But if these mixed devotees not only aspire for the material goods, but they mix with pure devotees, associate with pure devotees, they will also become pure devotees. Yeah. And if somebody is a jnana yogi, but he practices jnana mishra bhakti, then he can attain the Vishwarupa Darshanam, surrender to the Virat Rupa of the Lord, and he can get moksha. So jnani gets moksha, the 4 type of bhaktas get their desires fulfilled by Paramatma, and those associated with pure devotees become pure devotees, and pure devotees alone can control the Lord. So in this way, all these are explained nicely. And the last 6 chapters, how the living jiva, living entity comes in this world in contact with matter, material nature, like you see in the picture here, how there are different jivas in different type of species of life, and then how they can be delivered by the Supreme Lord. All that is explained. And also, the nature of the jiva, like the picture below you see, how the jiva develops a bhava, like he's eating all dirty things like a pig, and he becomes a pig in the next life. So actually our mentality only takes us to the next body. Just like the air carries Sugandha Vasanas, Durgandha Vasanas. Like that our mentality carries pure sattvic vibrations or tamoguni vibrations. Accordingly we go to the next body. Yeah. So therefore, our universe is a combination of Prakriti and Purusha and forms of the Lord and essential nature of karma. All these things are explained in last 6 chapters very nicely. So, yeah, like here you see the body where the Jivatma and Paramatma reside, and the practice of jnana and all these things are described in this last 6 chapters. Like you see here in the bottom picture, a person is sleeping, in his body there is soul and there is also super soul. And super soul is witness. And he is also in the top picture you find Krishna expands as Mahavishnu, and then into, Garbhadaksha and Kshirodaksha Vishnu enters into every atom and every heart of living being. And then the left side picture you find Paramatma accompanies the jiva in body after body to guide him where he should go and everything. Yeah. Look at the child is born. Actually you saw the child. See, child is born. He's getting out of the hospital, running here, running there. He's growing old also. He's going through various situations in life. At last he died. See here. Again he's starting as a child. So in this way people go through various situations. That's the point. He wants to lord over this world. with his body and senses, isn't it? So therefore, this body is compared to a tree which produces sukha, dukkha, all these different things. Yeah. From childhood we undergo change into childhood, to boyhood, to youth, to old age. But foolishly we identify with the body. Somebody is thinking, my body is fair. Somebody is saying, I am black. He feels very inferior. Somebody is thinking, I am highly educated. Somebody thinks I am illiterate. Somebody thinks I am rich. Somebody thinks I am poor. Somebody thinks I am Brahmana, I am very pure. Somebody thinks, I am a Shudra, I am Chandala, like things like that. So these are all external bodily designations. People actually decorate their hairstyle, decorate their dress style, and imagine themselves with the body. This is called Dehatma Buddhi. And such people are completely in gross bodily consciousness. And because they identify with the Prakriti, they'll be born again and again in this world. Whereas those who are bhaktas, they should go beyond this. Those who are spiritualists, they understand that I am different from the body. Body is a machine. I am seated in this body. Just as I am different from the cloth, body is also different from me. With little contemplation, you can understand that I am not the body, I am different. Because once the soul comes out of the body is fed into the fire. It is no good. So they understand it. The body is not the Atma. See in this picture, bottommost, this man is doing balatkar to a woman, is raping her. He becomes a dog in the next life. You see this man is eating all nasty, dirty things, anything, he's becoming a pig in the next life. So one is both these fellows are doing sinful activities. And the third one, the top you find, somebody is giving dhan to some Brahmana, charity. So he's getting punya and he's going to heavenly planets, you see. He's meeting Indra and all the Apsaras are dancing, he goes there. Then topmost picture you find Bhakta. What is he doing? He is in the temple chanting, dancing, worshipping the Lord. He goes to spiritual world, meeting Krishna Balram, you see. So in this way you can do mundane sinful activities or mundane pious activities or spiritual activities and go back to God. So the body is therefore meant for performing papa or punya or bhakti. If you do papa punya, you will be rotating in this world only. If you do bhakti, you go back home, back to Godhead. Yeah. So this conditioned state is shown in the top, thinking those who think I am the body, and liberated state is shown in the bottom. Srila Prabhupada and his disciples. You can see how Prabhupada is liberated soul. They don't identify with the Prakriti. They identify with the Lord as I am Amsha of the Lord. I am part and parcel of Lord. They think like that. Whereas conditioned souls think I am on this body and everything connected to body is mine. They think like that. Therefore, you can see conditioned souls are compared to crows and liberated souls are compared to swans or cuckoos. You see, conditioned souls are white crows. Like look at these people, how much purchase they have done in a, shopping mall. They have filled up a whole cart and full of hands. Still, look at the face. They are still greedy to buy more. People go out of control. In this way, people accumulate material goods in this world, like crows in this world, enjoying in material goods. Whereas the cuckoo eats mango buds. The crow eats neem fruit because it's very bitter. Eventually, they suffer bitter fruits. Whereas devotees of the Lord discuss Krishna Katha and they taste the mango by which they can go beyond the material existence. They liberated jivas. So the same tree of the material world has multiple fruits. Okay, that's the point. See here, see the top picture, bottom picture. Bottom picture, the ignorant people can identify with Prakriti and they're counting money and smoking cigarette, drinking wine. See that. On the other hand, you can see, Srila Prabhupada as Abhay Babu, he's going and sitting and hearing because such spiritual knowledge is inaccessible to ordinary man's ordinary organs of vision. It's only available to mind refined by Bhakti Yoga. You can see. Therefore, intelligent people who want to be liberated should hear the spiritual sound vibration. Yeah. And Kshetrajna is explained here. The universe is like a body to God. That's what I explained to you before. And our body is body for us, given for us. And yeah. So, this we already explained it very nicely, the field and the knower of the field. Yeah, ultimately God is the knower of all the fields. We know very little about our own field also. So now the other items we will learn. There is one more Kshetrajna verse which will come in the next verse as we proceed. In the third verse and fourth verse, Krishna will explain about the Kshetrajna, how Krishna is also another Kshetrajna besides us. We will learn that in the next verse. Srila Prabhupada ki. Thank you very much.